you arrive in Cuba, like these people have just done, in Castro's new revolutionary Cuba, the first thing that strikes you is music. The second thing, political slogans. The third thing, young men and young women with guns. And that's a very good first impression because these three things run like a theme through and around nearly everything that you see in Havana, 1961.
The theme was repeated and emphasized in Carnival the weekend I was there. I asked them what the carnival was for. They said, we have one every weekend at this time of year. I asked them what the guns were for, and they said, we have to guard what we've won against traitors, and they pointed to the slogans. The favorite slogan, fatherland or death. Sometimes the slogans are less dramatic, an appeal by a trades union for voluntary harvest workers, or the statement that a business is now nationalized. But they're all part of the endless barrage of exhortation and triumph, the climate of Cuba. The people in the streets seem strangely unmoved by it all. Many of them, like the old lottery ticket man, have seen Cuban revolutions before. It all looks very normal. The tired old Spanish-style buildings show few signs of the tiny counter-revolutionary bombs that do sometimes go bump in the night, and neither do the spanking new Batista-built skyscrapers. TV reporting in the new Cuba isn't easy. You need permission to film anything. Often the man who can give it isn't available when you want him. A letter has been lost or a cable gone astray. But two departments did prove reasonably helpful: the Tourist Board and INRA, the Agricultural Reform Institute.
One of the problems that Fidel Castro's new revolutionary Cuba is dealing with is the question of land reform. They've taken the land away from the big landowners, given it to the people, and they're making sure that they use it to the best advantage. They're doing this in two ways. They have a system of cooperative farms in which a man, a peasant, owns the land. It varies between 66 acres and about 170 acres, and he farms it in a group with other farmers under the direction of INRA and shares in the profits. But the more popular system is what they call people's farms, and these are collectives on the Soviet pattern. The state owns the land. The man works on it for a wage and for free housing and for free food. They're proud of their achievements in this respect, and they're very glad to let you look at them. They took us to a people's farm.
PR2, they call it. Before the revolution, it was an 8,500-acre ranch belonging to Batista's son and employing, they say, 6 men. First, they made it into a cooperative. Now it's a collective, employing 124 farmers, many of them, with other laborers, engaged on new irrigation works. Standard minimum wage, about £1 a day. A couple of hundred women and girls, some of them wives and daughters of the collective farmers, are employed sorting and packing the farm's tomato crop. They get about 2 and 4 pence an hour. I was surprised to see the boxes were labelled in English. In fact, they're for the USA, which still takes fruit and vegetables from Cuba in spite of the sugar embargo. Workers on the farm, and other agricultural workers, can buy nearly everything they want in special shops. There's one on every cooperative and collective, and the prices are sometimes as much as 15% less than in the towns and villages. Tinned tomatoes, grown and tinned here on PR2. The big advantage is that a lot of things which are beginning to be scarce in Havana are still to be bought in the people's farm stores. That's one way of keeping them down on the farm. This is the type of pre-revolutionary peasant's house still in use. Rather better examples of the type, or we wouldn't have been invited to film them. The old woman can neither read nor write, and this is her volunteer alphabet teacher from the city, part of the drive to stamp out illiteracy. Still on the collective farm, or the fringes of it. New houses to replace the thatched huts which you saw a moment ago. The first thing to go up is the school. These completed houses, on another collective, are already occupied, rent-free but tied to the job. If a man leaves the farm without permission, he'll have to find another roof for his wife and children. Thank you, Fidel. Tobacco, with sugar, one of Cuba's two staple products. Tying the leaves into sticks is more seasonal work for the wives and daughters at a little over a penny a stick. It doesn't sound much, but they work incredibly fast. The sticks of leaves then go into the drying and curing sheds. And so to sugar by the trainload, the main crop and the main bone of contention with the USA. Before Castro, over a third of Cuba's sugar came from American-owned mills, and America took half the output. After nationalization, Washington banned Cuban sugar, but the mills are still busy turning it out. Many communist bloc countries have promised to take Cuban sugar in exchange for the things Castro needs. In a cloud of sweet-smelling dust, the cut cane is tipped into the hopper and begins its long crawl through the many stages of crushing and refining. My interpreter and I were shown round the mill by a young militiaman who worked there. He had charge of the weighbridge, but he was also part of the security guard, hence the weapon. The process is long and complicated. The atmosphere hot, sweet and sticky, but at last we got to the end product. It tasted just like sugar. But before the cane can be turned into sugar, it has to be harvested. They tell you that in the bad old days, this was done by underpaid, landless peasants. In the new Cuba, the order of the day is voluntary weekend cane cutting by office workers from the city. You can see she's an office worker. Just by chance, one of the volunteers was no less than the deputy head of the state tourist board.
Senor Montani, how often do you yourself come out and cut cane?
Well, every week.
Every week?
Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday, or just
No,
the Monday?
only Saturday. I come on Saturday, but others come on Sunday.
How much cane do you personally cut in a day?
Well, I'm not one of the best ones, but I think I can cut around 150 bundles or 25 pounds each.
What's the average for a good man?
Well, the maximum is 300 of a real expert sugar cane cutter.
Yes.
For instance, our Commander-in-Chief Prime Minister Fidel Castro cut 350 bundles of 25 pounds each, which is a very good effort of him.
That's considered to be a record, is it?
It's a record.
Isn't it possible to cut the cane mechanically in order to get the harvest in more quickly?
Well, that will be a situation that the government will have to face sooner or later, because this year we have to do this volunteer work because a new employee has been created by the government, and the sugar cane cutter has gone to those employees, and there's a lack of arms in the country.
He meant hands. There's no shortage of arms.
What's your job in the city?
Well, I am a phone operator at the Cuban Tourist Commission.
And how often do you come out to cut cane?
Every Saturday morning.
Throughout the harvest?
Sure, yes.
How much can you cut in a day?
Well, about 5 bundles.
5 bundles?
Yes, 5 or 10, it depends,
Yeah.
you know.
It's hard work, is it? Can you show me exactly how it's done?
It looked easy, so I thought I'd cut a cane or two for Castro myself, keeping well within his record, of course, just to be on the safe side.
Good. Now, show me with these. Let me have a try. Here. You hold that. Just like that. Just there. Let me have a swing here.
Take it out. Take it out.
Take it out that way.
Yes. Then cut it down.
I think I have to
No,
do this.
you
I'm
have
the
to-
wrong side of it,
No,
aren't
no,
I?
no, no,
really?
no.
Cut it that way.
Yes, that's right. Yes, yes.
Oh, made it in one. Can I have that for a moment? You know, this could cost me my American visa.
And so, back to the view of the city spread out below my hotel room. The hotel, by the way, is another nationalized American asset. It used to be called the Havana Hilton. Now it's the Havana Libre. And the swimming pool is no longer reserved for the rich. It's open to the workers, people like me.
Since 1959, Fidel Castro has traveled a long way on the road to Moscow and the communist bloc. A few weeks ago, he recast his government in communist mold, giving Ernesto Guevara, the left-wing Argentine soldier of fortune who fought with him in the hills, complete control of Cuban industry. All is now set for the drive to industrialize the island. Through the sun-drenched Havana docks are coming machinery, oil, and equipment from the communist countries. And the plan for steady industrial growth and to end Cuba's ancient dependence on the produce of her soil is well underway. After ideas and goods from the other side of the Iron Curtain come methods. The state here is very happy to show you what it wants you to see, and they're very anxious to give you the impression that all is well. But are the people free? Well, you'll hear no word of criticism of Castro from any of the Cuban press or on the air. And I don't mind admitting that I am recording this in my hotel bedroom where no Cuban can hear me. Of course, the mass of the Cuban people are 100% behind Castro. How could they not be? He's lifted them out of the dirt. He's given them homes, pay, work, and guns. He's made them proud of their land and their race and given them the feeling of dignity of human beings. But the endless tirades against traitors and the long speeches announcing the final cleaning up of the counter-revolution in Escambray give the impression that at least some of the people can't be happy. Most of the supporters of the old regime are either dead or they've escaped. There have been some 600 executions since the revolution, and more people's trials are promised. Is there an underground in Havana? Well, you won't see anything of it, unless you happen to be near one of the rather puny attempts at sabotage. But it does exist, and small or large, it must mainly consist of the people who were with Castro against Batista, but refused to travel the road to Moscow. To sum up, in this reporter's view, Castro will take a lot of shifting. In spite of some economic weaknesses, Cuba is now a pretty firm bridgehead of Marxism in the New World. That's all.